Okay, the next function that I want to look at is the compare function. This is a really good function when you want to look at two words that are similar, like synonyms, but see how they're used differently. So a classic example will be big and large. So if I type in the word big, and then I type in the word large, and then I put in my wild card for collocates, I can click compare words and see what types of words collocate with big and large. Let's check the settings real quick to make sure stuff is set well. Okay, so we're looking at frequency. Let's change that to mutual information. We'll change that to 3, as we said earlier, and then that will be nice. We'll compare words like this. So here we'll see what big collocates with compared to what large collocates with. Okay, so here we have big, and then here we have large. So with big, we have things like big brother, big surprise, big bang, big sister, big deal, big trouble. With large, we have large extent, large skillet, large quantities, large pepper, large cloves. So just by looking at these, my first intuition would be that big maybe occurs more in a metaphorical sense, while large occurs more in a literal sense, like a large skillet or a large pepper. Meanwhile, we have things like big trouble. That's not actually physical size, but more the idea or the metaphor of a degree of trouble. Okay. Another thing we could do is we could look at, for example, go back to our favorite example of run, and let's look at that. What's a synonym of run? Jog. So go for a run. We can also say go for a jog. So let's look at jog. Now, how are those two words different? Two words are, even if they're synonyms, they're always going to be used a little bit differently. Okay, so here we have the long run again. Different words like this. And then in jog we have, look at this, memory and memories. So things like memory are happening a lot with jog. So let's see what's happening there. We'll click on one of these and see what we get. So here we have jog my memory, jog your memory. So to jog my memory, I made a fist of my right hand and held it up. He had information that would have helped jog my memory. So we can see that we have a phrase here like jog, and then my or your, a pronoun, memory. So this will help us to search this. We could search this in Google. We could try to figure out what jog your memory means just based on these things, or do different searches. But the important thing is that we found a nice phrase with jog and memory to see how this works in natural language. So these are the types of searches you can do with compare. Some activity ideas for your students might be to have them look at two synonyms like big and large, or jog and run, and then look at the types of collocates that those words occur with, and try to generate some rules or some patterns. How does large function differently than big when you look at the words in context using the compare function?